But I do not want to suppress my emotions. Teacher, suppression and being a witness to your emotions are two entirely different things. Suppression is feeling those emotions actively but not doing anything about them, or doing something and regretting it. Neither of these is the right tool to deal with negative emotions. The only way to deal with them is to be intensely aware of your emotions, which is what meditation teaches you. Once you observe your emotions, there will be two directions you may want to take. A, you will realize that an action or reaction is not warranted. Or B, your action will be thought out and not impulsive. Student, but if I have gotten to a place of witnessing my emotions and I can also see the benefits of that trickling down into my life, does that emotion still live within me? If yes, how is meditation helping me? Teacher, that's an honest question. The sheer awareness of an emotion makes you get rid of that emotion. Because the purpose of the emotion is not to solve what you are feeling but to make you aware of what you are feeling. If you are feeling the emotion of jealousy, its purpose is to make you aware of the inadequacy you are feeling in your own life. If you are feeling the emotion of anger, its purpose is to make you aware of an unfulfilled need within yourself. The minute you observe the emotion and realize the reason behind it, the emotion disappears. Because its purpose has been served. It is such a miraculous thing. Student, how do I know when is the right time to pick up meditation? Honestly, it is only during distress that I think I must pick up meditation. Teacher, the best time to plant the tree was yesterday. The next best time is today. The right time will be when you begin to meditate, and you will know that it's working for you. Student, I understand. I almost expected this answer. Teacher, smiling, the teacher has appeared. Part 2. Managing your career. How do I build trust? Student, I secretly envy people who are trusted by everyone. Teacher, why do you envy them? Student, because I'm not able to get people to trust me as much. Teacher, what's stopping you, my friend? Student, by now I know the answer is I am the one stopping myself. But I don't know how to build trust for myself in others. Teacher, it is beautiful that you recognize the importance of trust. Most people think that it is not important to be trusted. Hard work and intelligence can compensate for that. Let me tell you a story about another student just like you. She had just started her job at a consulting firm right after graduating from a top B school. She was from a science background. And at B school her most dreaded subject was accounting. She hated it. Guess what her first assignment was upon joining the firm? Student, oh no. Accounting. Teacher, guess how well she did that job? Being smart and witty can never compensate for lack of trust. Ever. Student, not well, I suppose. Teacher, every single day, she did a mediocre job on the project and submitted it to her manager. The manager would point out errors in it and she would immaculately fix the errors. But the same thing kept repeating. Student, isn't that great? The manager is taking care of the student's mistakes. Teacher, it is anything but great. Because the job of your manager is not to correct the mistakes in your work. The job of your manager is to build upon your work. If they are correcting your mistakes, they are doing your job. Or in other words, by committing the mistakes repeatedly, you are not allowing them to do their job. Student, oh. So how did your student's manager handle it? Teacher, the manager let things be for a couple of weeks. And when things didn't change, the manager set up a one with my student. Which is when the manager said the truest words about trust. When you submitted your first work, I reviewed it since it was the first time. And it had errors. I pointed them out to you, and you fixed them wonderfully. But the next time you sent another piece, it had errors too. You did fix the errors again, but now I do not know if the work you submit is error-free or not. I know the end result is error-free, but I still have to check the first version of your work to check if there are any errors. You see how that is not good use of anyone's time. I have gotten to a point where I unfortunately don't trust you. And, if I can't trust you, it doesn't matter how smart you are. Student, I never saw it this way. Wow. So the way to build trust is to do error-free work. Teacher, Seth Godin, who is one of my favorite thinkers, has a beautiful definition of trust. Trust isn't about, nothing will ever go wrong. Instead, trust is that even when things go wrong, you know that everything that was needed to be done to prevent it was done and everything needed to fix it will be done. Student, that is so deep. So building trust has multiple dimensions to it. Teacher, building trust is a function of three things. 1. To be there for people when times are difficult. To be there for your friend when they are not at their best. To be there for your manager when everyone else in the team is moving on. To be there for your loved ones when they are not in a place of giving love but are needing it. To be there when it is easiest to move on, yet you choose to stay is when trust is built. Student, isn't this the hardest thing to do? Teacher, which is precisely the reason there are very few people whom we can trust. It is easy to be there when everything is going well. It is intensely hard to be there when you don't need to, perhaps don't even want to, but you know you should be there. It brings me to the second core ingredient of building trust. Being accountable for what you do. Student, I am not sure I fully understand. Teacher, long ago, there was a sculptor who lived on top of a mountain. He was working on making the best statue in the world. He wished for it to be so spectacular that people from villages all across the valley would marvel at it. The sculptor worked on it for several months. When he was done, he invited a friend to have a look at it. The friend absolutely loved it. However, the nose of the sculpture was slightly chipped. I have never seen such a beautiful statue in my life. The nose is slightly chipped, but that's okay. People standing many feet below won't even realize it. The sculptor took his axe and broke the sculpture. Student, was he mad? Why did he do that? Teacher, it doesn't matter whether the world can see it or not. It is enough that I have seen it. I define my own standard, said the sculptor. Student, that is such a strong definition of accountability. Teacher, when you are accountable to yourself, it doesn't matter who else you are accountable to. Because you speak your truth, it doesn't matter who else sees it because all they would see is the truth. Student, defining your own standards. Makes sense. And what's the third ingredient to building trust? Teacher, the third ingredient of building trust is sticking to your commitments. You do what you are supposed to do without having to provide a status update. Student, but people are always asking for a status update. Even before the deadline. Teacher, why do you think that is the case? Student, I don't know. Because they are not sure if it will actually be delivered on time. Teacher, precisely. Maybe their past experiences have shaped their current realities. Or maybe the lack of communication from your side has made them uncomfortable. Either way, place yourself in the shoes of the person and share proactive updates. Not when asked for it. Instead, regularly, without being asked. And if for any reason you are unable to deliver on your commitments, request for more time. Much in advance. Student, fantastic. This is so clear. Be there in difficult times. Be accountable to yourself. Stand by your commitment. Because it doesn't matter how smart I am if people cannot trust me. Teacher, smiling the teacher has appeared. How do I find my passion? Student, this is something that bothers me often. I am an adult. I have a job. I pay my bills. But I am not driven by what I do. I don't think I have found my passion. Teacher, the truth about passion, my friend, is that it is not something that is found at a particular place at a particular time. Your passion isn't lying somewhere, waiting to be found. You grow it by pursuing things that interest you, and over time, an amalgamation of all of those becomes your passion. Student, but I am already 23 and should be settled by now. Teacher, everyone in their 20s thinks they are too old. And they are in a hurry to find their passion and settle down. Because everyone tells you to settle down. Finish your education, get a job, get married and settle down. Here is an alternative way of looking at your passion. Spend your 20s exploring your passion. Spend your 30s honing your passion. Spend the rest of your life reaping the benefits of your passion. No one should settle down. Keep up that fire. Keep moving the needle. You weren't born to just settle down. Student, that sounds like a lovely plan on paper. But how do I execute it? Teacher, heard of the word Ikigai? Student, sounds familiar. It's the name of a famous book, isn't it? Teacher, well, the book is written on this famous concept of Ikigai. In Japan, there is an island called Okinawa. A highly unusual percentage of seniors on Japan's Okinawa island live to the age of 100 years and beyond. Their secret, they claim, is Ikigai. Student, and what does that mean? Teacher, Ikigai is a Japanese word. It doesn't have a direct English translation, but loosely translated, it means the reason for being, or the purpose of one's life. Student, passion. Teacher, or passion, if you wish to think of it that way. It is a simple yet powerful concept. It was only after I read and understood the concept of Ikigai did I realize that I had been unknowingly applying its principles all throughout my life. All of my seemingly random decisions in life, which made no sense in my 20s, suddenly made sense when viewed through the lens of Ikigai. Student, tell me more, please. Teacher, Ikigai starts with a fundamental question: what is it that you love doing? We all love doing something. For some it could be singing, for some working with numbers, for some connecting with people, for some food. Unfortunately for most, what we love doing is crushed along the way and replaced by what the world expects us to do. And hence we become engineers, cars, lawyers and doctors. Not because that is what we love, but because that is what we are told we should do. Student, you are beginning to share my story now. Teacher, this is everyone's story, if it's any comfort. Start with this question: what do I love doing? And make a list of all possible things. Do not stop at just your assessment of it. Ask your family, what are the things I used to love doing as a kid? Ask your friends, what are the things you see me doing that make me look happy? Ask your colleagues, what are the things that make me jump with joy when I have to do them? Investigate. Make a list as long as you can. Somewhere in there lies your Ikigai, your search for your passion. Remember, you won't find it. You will realize it. Student, I love this already. Let's say I have this list. What next? Teacher, of all the things you love, you may not be good at all of them. I love singing. But to the world's benefit, I sing only behind closed doors. So of the things you love, which are the ones you are good at? Student, interesting. What will be the definition of good here? Teacher, that is a good question. The answer lies within. You may find yourself good at something already. Or you may sense the potential of becoming good at something. Student, if this is my own assessment, could it not be false? Teacher, potentially. Hence I would also recommend asking the same people you used to prepare the list of all that you love. Ask your family, friends, colleagues, what are the things that you are good at? Student, so things that I love and things that I am good at. I can see where this is headed. Is that my Ikigai? Teacher, want to know the truth? This isn't your Ikigai. But this is your passion. Student, sorry, what? I thought Ikigai was my passion. Teacher, recall that the loose meaning of Ikigai is the reason for being. Your true reason to exist. According to Ikigai, things that you love and are good at comprise your passion. But they are still incomplete when it comes to defining the true purpose of your being. There are two missing elements still. Student, which are. Teacher, number 3 is it something that the world needs? Out of the things that you love doing and are good at, not everything will be something that the world needs or cares about. Student, but how do I know whether something is needed by the world or not? Teacher, just as for the other elements, this definition too is personal. You define the need and its importance. Imagine working in a job that you love and are good at, but every day you feel as if the world doesn't really need this job to exist. You lack meaning, a sense of purpose. It nags you, but you never truly understand why. Student, I know this feeling. This precise feeling. But I could never explain it. Teacher, we have all been there. In the same breath, there may be a comedian, or a singer, or an artist who is great at what they do, love what they do and genuinely believe that they help the world by sharing their art with the world. As I said, this is a personal choice, a personal definition of meaning that you attach to the things you truly love and are good at. Student, this is deep. While we were going through Ikigai, I was making this list in my head. And this third element suddenly made the exercise so much richer. Teacher, many things that make us happy and we are good at may not be directly something that the world needs. Let's say you love reading books. And it's something you are really good at as well. But the world does not need book readers, at least not in a direct manner. The world does need book reviewers though. Or people who curate books on a particular subject. Or people who create notes from books and share them as summaries. In essence, there will be work that is required to translate what makes you happy and what you love doing into something the world needs. Student, I understand. What did you do? Teacher, my Ikigai today is teaching. It was something I always loved from childhood. And it is something I have become good at over the years. I had to convert my love for teaching into something that the world needed. Which is where I put in my time, my patience and my efforts. Student, super clear now. Thank you. Teacher, which brings us to the last element. In my opinion, the easiest one is once you have figured out the first 3. Does it make me money? Student, haha. You call it the easiest. Isn't this the hardest? Teacher, I call it the easiest once you have figured out the first 3. Because in my experience, money becomes a natural byproduct over time once the first 3 are figured out. It takes time though. Student, and is that why you stated that 20s is the age for exploration? What you meant is your 20s is the time you spend finding your Ikigai. Teacher, correction. Your 20s is the time you spend on building your Ikigai. Or, for that matter, whenever you start. If you start in your 30s in your 40s or even beyond, do not expect it to pop up one day. It is a journey you will have to undertake. Perhaps the most fruitful journey of all. Student, this was wonderful. What makes me happy? What am I good at? What does the world need? How can I make money from it? If I find these 4 things, the intersection of them is my Ikigai. Even though I haven't found it yet, simply being aware of this gives me strength. Teacher, smiling the teacher has appeared. How do I pick the right career? Student, I am now aware of Ikigai as a means of exploring my passion. Does this apply to your career as well? Teacher, do you think your career and your passion are disconnected? Student, not really. But how do I find my ideal career, if I am already in another career? Teacher, at first, you have to know that the job you currently have pays your bills. Don't dismiss that job. It provides for something critical financial stability. At the same time, don't make it the center of your existence. Use it for your survival and then with whatever time is left, you use it to explore your dream career. Student, so I do not have to be the best in the world at my job if I don't intend to continue to do it for the rest of my life. Teacher, for this job, yes. This does not mean you are not going to do your job. But you are certainly not going to go beyond your job. An important thing to note is that you are not going to compare yourself to anyone. A 19-year-old making $1 million, people making it to the top companies straight out of graduation, someone your age making 2x money of what you make, all of these are distractions. No matter how true they are not your life. They are someone else's life. If comparison led you to where you wanted to go, people would do nothing other than compare. What you want from your life is what you will chase. It may be the same thing as them. And that's fine too. However, you will get what you want in your life when you take the actions in your life, not when you compare your life to someone else's and take no action because your heart is filled with envy instead of encouragement. Student, envy comes instantly every time I see someone else with something that I was chasing. How can I get rid of that? Teacher, by taking action towards what you want. And by continuously reminding yourself that you are here to live your own life and, no matter how different it is from that of others, that is the only thing that will fulfill you. Envy empties. Action achieves. Student, I have only my life to live. Thank you for the reminder. Teacher, smiling, the teacher has appeared. How do I change my career? Student, I am at a place in my career where I don't feel at home about it anymore. I thought this was the career for me, but I am not happy with it. Teacher, how old were you when you picked up your current career? Student, I was 16, after having completed 10th grade. Not too young, I assume. Teacher, at what age did you get your driving license? Student, at 18, because you cannot get one before becoming an adult. Teacher, weird. No. We have to decide our careers before we are even eligible to drive a vehicle. Do you think people know how to do that? Student, I didn't know back then. Today I know my current career is not for me. But I don't see a way out. I am already several years into it. Teacher, before you consider changing your career, it is critical to acknowledge the importance of financial stability. Student, my family and friends also say that, insisting I shouldn't switch careers. Teacher, I'd argue that financial stability is important to switch your career. Switching your career is not going to be easy. It will take time. Which means you do not want to put the pressure of making money on it from day one. Student, but how will I switch my career if I continue in the same job with the financial stability it brings? Teacher, do your job well, so that it pays your bills. And the rest of the time, your nights, your weekends, your holidays, you explore the other careers that interest you. Your job now is not to win the Employee of the Month award or to become the apple of your manager's eye. Your job is to do your work diligently and to squeeze out the rest of the time for yourself. Student, but I feel tired at the end of the day after I have done my job. I just do not have the time to work on the side. Teacher, well, then, continue to be where you are. You will thus be miserable and tired. Student, please do not make fun of me. I am genuinely stuck. Teacher, if your house was on fire and you were inside the house, would you still cry out aloud that you are stuck and do not know what to do? No. You will do everything possible to save yourself. It's tragic we don't act this way when our life and career are on fire. Student, I understand that it is important to take action. But some jobs do suck time and energy completely. Teacher, the key, then, is to become smart about your work, to find smarter ways of doing the same job better, faster, cheaper. To structure yourself in a manner that you can take breaks so that you get time for yourself. And to genuinely work hard. Because you are trying to help yourself. No one else will. Student, that is work on my part. I understand that. What if, in my current job, my manager has already given me feedback to buckle up? What if I am not performing well in my current job? Teacher, you cannot escape being diligent at your work. You have to do what is required of you and get the job done in a manner that everyone thinks and knows you are good at it. There is no shortcut to that. Beyond that, I would ask you to consider not taking on more initiatives. Remember, this career is not your final destination. The time you spend here doesn't bring you joy. So spending more time on it is not the solution. Student, so what should I be doing when I have the time for myself from my existing job? Teacher, set out to explore careers that nudge you towards them, like a traveler with no destination, with only the intention to become a dedicated student. 1 month at a time. For one area you are interested in. For example, let's say you want to switch from sales to digital marketing. For a month, like a student, take up courses in digital marketing. Speak to people who are digital marketers. Speak to people who are not digital marketers anymore. Listen and understand both sides of the coin. At the end of the month, ask yourself honestly, am I enjoying this? Is it something that I see myself doing? If the answer is yes, you now dig deeper. If the answer is no, you pick another career option and repeat. Student, if I arrive at a yes, what next? Teacher, look for opportunities within your own organization. If not, pick up projects and internships to sharpen your axe. Engage with online communities and people in similar environments. At the end of the second month, you again ask yourself, am I enjoying it? Based on your yes or no, you go ahead with the same process again. Student, so I will reach a point where I will either know which career I want to switch to, or I will know the 10-12 areas I do not want to opt for. Teacher, yes. The awareness of what not to do is equally important. Student, is that not going to take a lot of time? Teacher, changing careers will not happen overnight. It is a place where you will spend most of your waking hours. It should and would take time. Student, when I have finally arrived at the one, should I consider moving from my existing career? Teacher, depends on what the career line is. If it is another job, then start applying for those jobs. Send cold emails. Share your work, your experience. Reach out to the same communities that you were a part of. If it is something you wish to do on your own, then start to slowly unlock an income stream from it. And only once your income from your new career matches your monthly needs, on a predictable basis for at least 6 months, quit your job. In a rapidly changing world, the ability to become a student whenever you have to is a superpower. Student, you know something. As you went through this process, I realized that I will have to adopt this process multiple times in my life. The world seems to be changing so rapidly that I don't know if my next choice of career will be my last one. I doubt it. Unlike my parents, I might end up having multiple careers, and thus go through this process several times. No. Teacher, smiling, the teacher has appeared. How do I grow in my career? Student, is growing in your career only about changing jobs or waiting for the yearly appraisals? Teacher, growing in your career is always a personal journey. What looks like career growth for me would not look the same for you, and vice versa. Thus, we need to start with an awareness of what we want in our career in the first place. Student, oh, I want everything. I want more money. A nice manager. Work-life balance. More growth opportunities. Bean bags. Climbing up the corporate ladder. Perks and privileges. Free lunch. A team that lifts each other. Everything. Teacher, a short way to fail in your career is to want everything. Because it is a substitute word people use when they don't know what is the one thing they want in their career right now. What you want from your career right now may change over the next 5-7 years, and that's perfectly fine. However, if you do not know the one thing you are chasing right now, you will keep chasing everything but never reach a place of satisfaction. Student, who wants to be satisfied in their career? Is it not about going up the ladder? Teacher, satisfaction does not mean resting on your laurels and not tasting more success. Satisfaction means feeling happy on your way to the top instead of living in constant anxiety and desire to have more and more. Student, will that come only when I know that one thing I want from my career? Teacher, look at our parents' generation. They are an unfortunate example of chasing only one thing irrespective of what it is that they truly wanted. That one thing was stability. Everything about their careers was about stability. Most of them still had pretty unfulfilling careers. Student, oh, I will always be grateful to my parents for what they did for me and for bringing me up. But I certainly do not want to have a career like theirs. Teacher, stability was the only way they could have ensured survival. Back then, survival was key. Money was needed. Playing the game of corporate ladders was also needed. Thus, they had to be compliant with the rules of the corporation, whether they liked it or not. To ensure stability, a lot of them gave up fulfillment and happiness. Student, I understand. So how do I know what is the one thing I want right now in my career? Teacher, that is the awareness you need to build by having a conversation with yourself. When you are starting out, you may want a lot of money. And that is perfectly fine. For that, it's okay to work with a boss who isn't super nice. To not have a work-life balance. But because you know that the one thing you want right now is money, you will work with everything, even if it seems unfavorable, with grace and satisfaction. Student, so all these miseries will still make me happy because I know that my one most important need from the career is getting fulfilled. Teacher, exactly. This is the magic of this self-awareness. Student, but what if after several years of working, I do not want money as much as I want to work with people who challenge me and make me grow? Teacher, which is why the second step to growing in your career is to know what would make that happen in the first place. If you want growth, what makes growth happen? If you want money, what makes money happen? If you want a good culture, what is a good culture according to you? Student, is that not a difficult game to play? Maybe the place I work at does not offer money, but that is what I am striving for right now. It does offer a great work-life balance and good mentorship, but I think I have mentors outside of work right now, so my work should pay me well. But it doesn't. Life becomes difficult again. Teacher, life is difficult if you keep proclaiming that it is. Student, I accept that. So how do I change things when I know my current job does not serve my current needs? Teacher, it is about having a conversation with yourself about what a fulfilled need looks like. If you want a good culture, reach out to friends and seek feedback on how culture operates in their life. If you want more money, reach out to people whose job offers them exactly that. If you want good growth, reach out to people who are actually witnessing it in their job. Student, a first world problem. What if I do not have friends who have these? Teacher, then you leverage the power of social networks, my friend. People are always willing to help if you show them how. Student, help people help me. Teacher, absolutely. By forming connections with them. By acknowledging the journey they have had, and by asking them specific questions. Student, can you give me an example? Teacher, let's say you want to reach out to someone who works in a company that apparently pays their employees lavishly, and you want to work in that or a similar company. So you reach out to them, stating, "Hey XXX. I really appreciate the work you have been doing at XYZ company. The company's achievements and how your career has grown are wonderful testaments to that. XXX. I am planning to switch my job from ABC company to XYZ company and want your help in understanding the upsides as well as the downsides of working in a company like this, in general. Would you be willing to help me here? I have 3 specific questions to ask, and I won't take more than 10 minutes of your time. And we can do it over email itself, or if you prefer a call. PS, here you write something that is unique to them, through their content, and comment on how it is so unique. This is to have their attention and get them to say a yes. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. What do you think is going to happen when you reach out to at least 5 people like this every single day? Student, I am going to copy this template of yours. Thank you. Teacher, that's okay. I borrowed it from someone else as well. We all rest on the shoulders of others. Student, so what I understand is that at all points of time in my life I need to be self-aware of the one thing that I need from my career the most. That thing can change, but at that moment if I don't attend to it, I will constantly feel underserved. This is going to be a tough conversation, but I promise to try. Teacher, smiling, the teacher has appeared. How do I deal with office politics? Student, I find it really hard to deal with office politics. Teacher, help me understand what office politics is. Student, office politics means people purposely doing things to make sure you don't win. Teacher, there are two kinds of office politics and they do exist, unfortunately. One is encouraged in company cultures, which means the top leader in the company follows the same misaligned principles that are being followed at a micro level in your own department. If your manager encourages politics and that is aligned to how your top leader also behaves, you do not have a choice, my friend. It is not politics anymore, it is the way the company operates. You cannot help it. You can attempt to fight it, but it will be an intense fight. You can attempt to withstand it, but it will suck all of your energy. Your only job then is to find yourself another job where the leader is working on setting up a company that wants to create a space where people love to come to work. Student, so that means because I landed in the wrong place I have to bear the brunt of it by looking for another job. If your manager indulges in the same politics that the top leader does, that is not politics. That is the culture. Teacher, who is responsible for your career? Is it someone else? The choice is between momentary discomfort in finding a new job and working in a toxic environment. You choose. Student, that hits hard. But I admit it is the truth. Teacher, we now come to the second type of office politics. The reality of corporate culture is that it is defined at multiple levels. Every team, department, every floor will have a different culture. If your team thrives on office politics but that is in distinct contrast to how the top leaders present themselves, you now have a moral responsibility to voice your opinion. Student, but what if I am a fresh entrant into the team? Or maybe I have been here for a few months and everyone in the team is of the same political vibe. Would I stand a chance of being heard? Teacher, if the company thrives and voices a positive corporate culture and you see it across other departments as well, you will only be thanked for raising your voice. Student, I get you. However, the brutal reality is that I need that job. What if I get fired? What if the leader likes the person indulging in politics more than me and they are not able to see what I am experiencing firsthand? Teacher, here is a secret. A leader sees and knows everything. Even when you don't know, they see and know everything. Including what and who in the company or the department is toxic. If they do not stay in alignment with who they claim themselves to be, they unfortunately fall into the first category we just spoke about. Student, which means if I get fired, I know the leader was faking all along. How did it help me though? Teacher, go back to the conversation we just had. The choice is between momentary discomfort in finding a new job and working in a toxic environment. You choose. Student, not a choice I wish to make. Let's say the leader is not fake and my manager gets fired instead of me. How will getting someone fired solve the toxic culture? Teacher, our intent is not to start with wanting to get someone fired. Our intent is to have someone look at our situation objectively and solve it. You may be wrong in your definition of what is politics, in which case you will end up broadening your perspective. Or your concern could very well be valid, in which case the company will be grateful that you helped fix it. Student, if I turn out to be wrong, what will everyone else think of me? Teacher, that is the unfortunate trap we all fall into. What will others say? If the culture thrives on objectivity, righteousness and allowing people to be heard, what is the point of wondering about what others would think of you? Student, I understand that, but I feel scared that even if I make the slightest mistake, people will turn against me. Teacher, do you want to know the biggest truth ever? No one, absolutely no one, would be thinking of you. We think some people wake up in the morning wanting to screw up our happiness. But no one cares. Everyone is busy thinking about their own lives. Student, but if I still see myself in conflict with people, how do I get to be at peace with it? I ultimately have to spend most of my day with them. Teacher, ask yourself, what do they know that I don't? Why would they behave so differently from what I would expect them to? Why would they come up with something that is so dramatically different from what I would come up with if I were in the same situation? Student, that is a difficult question. Teacher, easier than losing your sleep over it. Why are they not treating me well? Student, how would asking these questions help me, though? Teacher, we see the world as per the lens we wear. Even if the world out there is white, a red lens on our eyes will make the world look red. When we put down our glasses and look at the world through someone else's, we see a different world altogether. Student, when I see that different world, I have more ideas to ponder over. Teacher, yes. It's possible what felt like office politics before was simply a view through a different lens. Student, so, if my manager behaves as per how the leadership behaves, I really can't do much about it. I am just in the wrong place and it becomes my choice to either bear it or, as you suggest, look for a different job. If my manager behaves differently from the standards that the leadership has set, it becomes my moral responsibility to raise the issue and be ready for the consequences. And it is possible that what I think is office politics is simply a case of different worldviews. I need to then ask, what is it that they know that I do not? That is a lot to consume, but I know what to do now. Teacher, smiling, the teacher has appeared. How can I be indispensable at work? Student, is it possible to be indispensable at work? To be so good that not having me on the team is something that scares my manager. Teacher, tell me, if you are asked to do something and you do it well, will you be indispensable? Student, I think, yes. If I do it better than others. Teacher, does that mean that once others start getting better than you will be dispensable? Student, oops. Didn't think that through. Yes, I guess. Teacher, being better than others is a constant chasing game. It does give you an extra edge, but it is usually momentary. Because you do not control how good others are. Student, but if I am doing my work really well and others are doing less than me, is that not enough? Teacher, that is the biggest mistake most of us believe in, that our job is to get things done. In my opinion, that is never sufficient. Student, why so? Teacher, because if someone comes along and does the task better, faster, cheaper than you are going to be eventually replaced. Student, then how do I go about making myself indispensable? If we just do what we are supposed to do, we will just get what we are supposed to get. Not what we desire to get. Teacher, most of us, when given a task, think about what to do. That is the output. And focusing on just the output will make you dispensable or replaceable. But the most curious people, the ones that are truly indispensable, go beyond the output they have to achieve. They bring something that I call positive unpredictability to their work. Student, what does that mean? Teacher, most focus on the output. The indispensable ones focus on the outcome. Why am I being given this task? What is the reason I am being given this task in the first place? As they ponder over this question, they will bring about far bigger and better results than is possible by any output. All of which are unpredictable. Output gets things done. Outcome achieves the reason why things are needed to get done. Student, can you explain this with an example? Teacher, let's say your manager asks you to prepare a short presentation before an important client meeting. A presentation that talks about the business of the client, their recent financial data, news reports, etc. How would you go about doing it? Student: Oh, I love presentations. I will Google the company name, start with the latest news reports, access their quarterly presentations and prepare a summary. Basically, in about 10 slides, give a quick gist of what the client is all about. Teacher: You made the classic rookie mistake. You didn't ask the questions that indispensable people ask. Why am I being given this task? Why is my manager requesting this data? How is it going to be helpful to her? What do you think is the answer to these questions? Student: The manager wants to show the client that she really understands the business of the client. Teacher: Great. And why is that important? Student: Because then the client will trust us as a company. Teacher: Who exactly will trust your company? Student: The client. Teacher: Who is the client? Student: Oh, you mean the person. The one my manager is meeting. Teacher: Do you know who that person is? Student: No. Teacher: Do you think your manager knows who the person is? Student: Certainly. Teacher: Do you think it would have helped if your manager also knew everything there is to know about that person, in addition to knowing everything about the company? Student: I see where this is going. Teacher: All you had to do was ask the fundamental question. Why am I being asked to do what I am being asked to do? Student: Wow. This makes it so clear. Does this apply all of the time? Teacher: The chances to be positively unpredictable are endless. We can do so all the time. This reminds me of an instance where a professor at a school asked a question at the end of his course. List at least 3 things that you have learned from this course. Only 6 students out of 120 listed more than 3 things they had learned in the course. Everyone else stopped at listing exactly 3 things. They achieved the output, failed in the outcome. We all suffer from this bias, where we think the definition of success is doing the bare minimum. In reality, it is the opposite. Student: If it is so simple, then why do most people stick to the conventional route of achieving the output instead of going further towards the outcome? Teacher: It requires work. It requires us to pause before a task, get into the shoes of the person who gave it and think about what they would expect from us. Student: It all boils down to this, doesn't it? Follow the path of hard work and not comfort. That is where most answers lie. Teacher: Smiling, the teacher has appeared. How should I spend the first 90 days of a new job? Student: I have been enjoying my new job, but I am not yet able to perform at work. Teacher: Do you expect a toddler to walk? Student: No. Teacher: If it doesn't work, do you shame the child? Student: No, because it's not expected out of toddlers. Teacher: If they try to walk, will you appreciate it? Student: Yes, of course. Teacher: Do you think you answered your question? Student: But I want to create an impact. Teacher: Here is a truth most recruiters won't tell you when you are new at a job. They don't expect you to create an impact from day one. In fact, all they expect is for you to be a keen observer. Student: Really? Teacher: What do you think will happen if you try to create an impact from day one? Student: It will make my manager and the leadership proud of me. Teacher: What is the probability that you will actually be able to create an impact on day one? Student: The probability is low because I don't know the nitty-gritty of the job yet. Teacher: What do you think will be your manager's reaction if it doesn't work out? Student: That I was aiming to touch the stars when I hadn't even learned to walk. Teacher: What will be the practical implication of that? Student: My manager won't trust my capabilities and my execution, and perhaps my team won't either. Teacher: What happens if you are not trusted? Student: My manager will think multiple times before assigning me a task. And even if they assign me something, they will always have this thought in their head: will she be able to do it? Teacher, do you think it's still wise to attempt to create an impact early on? If your manager doesn't trust you, it doesn't matter how smart you are. Student, but if I don't create an impact, won't my managers think that I am not serious and committed to the job? Teacher, you are partly right. Seriousness and commitment have two sides, are the inputs you contribute, be the output you get. Where do you think your focus is right now? Student, on the output, the external impact. Teacher, do you think seriousness and commitment can be measured even through the inputs you put in? Student, maybe. I don't know. Teacher, early on in a new job, your input is just as important as, if not more than, your output. Input in your new job means what you are doing and how you are showcasing that you are capable of getting a job done. It all boils down to three essential ingredients. 1. Understanding the culture, observing how the system functions. How does the company work? How are decisions made? 2. Listening intently, listen not with the intent to respond but rather to understand. You are not mute but an active spectator of everything happening around you. 3. Reach out to people, reach out to the staff within your department and outside of it. Engage with them. How do they do their job? What makes them good? What makes them not so good? What do they like about their work? What do they not like? All the three tasks done actively are the strengthening inputs that create a far bigger output. Remember, no one expects you to hit a 6 on the first ball of the match. However, everyone does expect you to be capable of doing that when the moment arises. Student, does patience play an important role here? Teacher, where does it not play, my friend? Happy smiley. You have two choices when you start a new job. Option 1, assume you begin cutting trees on day 1. And ensure you reach a number every single day. But you know what? The number will only progressively reduce because there was no time and space to sharpen the axe. Option 2, spend time sharpening your axe every single day. With patience and consistency. So that when you do start cutting trees, you do it faster than anyone else. Student, I understand the first 2 points. What I'm not very sure of, though, is how communicating with others amounts to sharpening my axe. To me that seems like something outside of work. Teacher, life is very simple. It has a philosophy most people ignore. If you are nice to people, life becomes easier. Student, does this also include people who are fake while being nice? Teacher, be nice to people, because you are genuinely nice. Ask them about their life. About their experience. Ask what they enjoy and don't enjoy. Where do they come from? What is their family like? Build meaningful relationships instead of being fake. When you get to know people at a human level rather than a professional one, they open up like never before. Now that they have formed a relationship with you, the next time you need their help, they will be more than happy to help you because it's no longer a transactional relationship but one that has transcended those transactions. Student, that feels so comforting. However, when I do all the things you mentioned, how would I know the right time to cut the tree with the axe? Teacher, you wouldn't know exactly when. But at some point, it will be obvious. Student, as I'll continue sharpening my axe like you said, I won't know when but the moment will arrive to strike. Are you suggesting that moment is never in the first few days and months of a new job? Teacher, it could be whenever you are ready for it. Think of it as the 2 modes in life. The first mode is to impatiently, from day 1, chase an impact. If an impact is all you chase, without being ready for it, you will always settle for much less than you could have achieved. The second mode is to be patiently ready to create an impact when the opportunity emerges. It will not emerge on day 1 itself, but when it does you will create a far bigger impact than those who kept chasing it impatiently from day 1. Student, got it. Spend time understanding the culture and observing how the system works. Listen intently to opinions and reactions around you. And reach out to people. in your department, and outside of it. Engage with them. Do all of this with patience, and at the right time you will create a far bigger impact than those who were chasing it from the beginning. Teacher, smiling, the teacher has appeared. How can I build multiple income streams? Student, one thing I have always been curious about is how to build multiple income streams. The concept looks so relatable when you see millionaires talking on Instagram, yet so unachievable. Teacher, building multiple income streams is like building a building. The floors are your income streams. But everything starts with the foundation. In this case, a predictable, stable income stream. Student, oh, isn't that boring? Teacher, imagine what would happen without it. You will put the pressure on any new income stream to make money from day one. It would be equivalent to training a toddler to compete in the Olympics. It is not going to happen. Student, okay, so my stable income stream will serve as a cushion for me. Teacher, yes. Stick with that income stream. Be it a job or anything else. That salary, which most people call a drug, will become your support. Once you know that you have to continue serving in that income stream, your next task is to take out as much time as possible to devote towards the next income stream. Student, how do I do that? Teacher, you build processes. You outsource administrative tasks of your life. You set up automation. All of this with the sole objective of gathering as much time as you can to start exploring different income streams. You build multiple income streams by first creating a stable, predictable income stream. Student, how do I even know about these income streams? Which ones to pursue and why? Teacher, start from the basics and do not overcomplicate. In my experience, these income streams are almost always a reflection of who you are. It could mean investing for some or teaching for others. It could be consulting for those who are good at it or setting up a small business with friends and family. Student, am I to understand that while you share the process of building these income streams, the actual choice of the income streams is my personal journey? Teacher, always. Student, I had a question about the process though. What if I love my job? Why do I want to do less of it? Teacher, that is a wonderful question. I am not asking you to do less of it. Instead, I am making you aware that doing just that isn't going to help you become financially independent. Something that cost 100 rupees in 2012 costs 160 rupees in 2022. However, incomes rose from 100 rupees in 2012 to merely 130 rupees in 2022. Thus, there was a huge income expenditure gap as time progressed. Now, if your job pays you really well, covers more than your expenses, and you also enjoy doing it, by all means give as much time as you can to it. Because the chances of you building more income through that job are way higher than of someone else who does not. But if your job does not pay you well or you do not see any scope of growth there, a good idea would be to build multiple income streams. Student, another question on my mind. What if I love my job and I want to build multiple income streams? Maybe because I do not see myself being just one person. Is it okay if I go for building multiple income streams despite loving my job? Teacher, if you love your job and it pays you well, you should still explore. We have just one life. Why live it with just one identity? Maybe you could start by exploring different facets of your personality. The only thing they would do is add more vibe, energy and success to your current job. Student, in this case, since it isn't just about making more money, do you still advise me to squeeze out time from my job? Teacher, not at all. The idea is not to make you do less of what makes you happy. The idea is to make you do more of other things that also make you happy. Student, oh wow, that is going to be an awesome ride. My next question is, how do I take out time to build these income streams when work is already so demanding? Teacher, you have to guard